Learning to do things right in Adobe Commerce, formerly Magento, is not necessarily the easiest thing. There's a lot to learn. But you know what makes this frustrating? It's when it changes. And we're going to be talking about one of these changes today. And in fact, this is a subtle change that kind of has some bigger consequences associated with it. Yes, we're going to be talking about a change in the API that came as a result of Adobe Commerce 245p3. And yeah, it's kind of just buried in there. An important security update, in my opinion. Honestly, it never should have been there in the first place. But yeah, it's a little bit frustrating either way. In these format of knowledge bites, we actually go through a very practical question, come up with 3 answers, look to identify which one is the best answer of all of these. If you like this format, make sure to subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. But even better yet, we have put out a tremendous amount of material for Adobe Commerce Learning, and actually a little bit on BigCommerce too, to help you quickly get up to speed, learn these best practices, and become highly proficient as quickly as possible with as minimal input on your side as we can literally make it happen. So without further ado, let's take a look and jump into this question here for today. You are building a middleware application to import customers from a third-party service into Magento. As part of the process, you need to check if the customer already exists. You are excited to find a new API method. This one right here is email available. However, this function consistently returns true, resulting in no customers being imported. How can you resolve this issue? Well, we have our 3 answers right here. We have A, ensure the payload is correct. Well, yeah, that's a good one. I actually modified this one from how we posted it on LinkedIn just to make it a little more obvious which one is correct. In newer versions of Magento, this is the API's default behavior for security reasons. Find another way, yes, and I'll just mark it. Yeah, that's correct. But finally, access this API as an authorized user to retrieve accurate results. I would like to talk through what is going on here. So Magento Adobe Commerce 245p3 released has in its security note a really seemingly tiny reference. And I say tiny because check this out. I think this constitutes as tiny. So in the P3 patch that was released, this is, yeah, it's highlighted, but it really goes to show how important reading these release notes are for any merchant that you apply them to. Does it apply? How does this affect this merchant's environment? And this is absolutely no different. So what this is saying is there is this is email available method here, query, that is used to see if this email has actually existed in the database. Again, it's a bad idea in my opinion from the very beginning, because and I would say more high profile merchants, you can actually see then if a customer is registered there, which then gives you the first part of the username and password combination. And unfortunately, many customers have poor quality passwords. So yeah, it kind of is a first step to a brute force attack on a customer front end account. So with this being disabled, I think it's a good thing, but it kind of creates some challenges. So I want to quickly look at what this is here. This is the is email available. We can find it here in right here is email available as far as the API path. However, one thing I want to quickly call out. So they added this in P3. I often say, look at the Magento source code to see a good example for how things should be done. Unfortunately, in this situation, I have to tell you, do not look at this, because what you will see here is the scope config get value on a Boolean value. If you look at the system XML file, it is a yes, no attribute. And we should be using is set flag. So just keep that in mind. This is a poor example of writing code right here. Perhaps I'm missing something, but this does not seem to be a good example at all of how to do this. All right, so instead, what we have to do is look for, I have it under get list. Right here is our V1 customers search, which pulls us over to our customer repository interface, which loads get list. Now, I'll be honest, is email available is a much faster as far as the amount of code you have to write. It is what it is faster. However, the funny thing is, both of these are using the customer repository. So there is no additional overhead. Customer repository is expensive regardless to utilize, but there basically is little extra overhead to using the get list here at this point. So at the end of the day, it's pretty much a one-to-one switch out here. And so yeah, just switch out, point out to use this, utilize this one. Ultimately, you're going to get a whole bunch more customer information, which might save you future API calls down the road. So there is your knowledge bite here for this week.